This is a tutorial for both the development and execution of a demo that aims to help new Motec implementers learn about how Motec calls and sends messages to patients on a user-specified schedule. If at any point during this tutorial you feel you want to read more detail about how a particular task is accomplished, for example where data is stored or how calls are initiated, please refer to the written tutorial that accompanies this video. Now, this tutorial mainly serves the purpose of showing you how the campaign demo operates. But first I'm going to cover just a couple of fundamentals about the Motec system itself. By the end of this tutorial, you will first off know what a message campaign is. You will also have an idea of how to define a message campaign schedule, and you'll also know more about the Motec event system. In the end, you'll see how all of these features come together with the actual demo, which sends messages to patients based on a user-specified schedule. So first off, what is a message campaign? A message campaign in Motec is a course of informational messages sent to a target user on an assigned date or schedule. This tutorial deals with only two types of message campaign schedules, and these are referred to as offset campaign schedules and periodic campaign schedules. Offset schedules require a time offset that specifies how many minutes, hours, days, or weeks from a specified reference date a patient will receive his or her first message within the predefined campaign. These campaigns allow patients to enroll into the sequence of informational messages that make up the message campaign at any point within the sequence. Second, periodic schedules are pretty self-explanatory. Messages are simply sent to patients on a periodic basis. Let's take a look at how Motec defines these campaign schedules. Message campaign schedules in Motec are configurable, and they are defined in JSON or JavaScript object notation. This is a Motec offset campaign schedule. Here is the first message of that JSON document. This message, entitled Week 5, has a format of SMS, meaning that a text message is going to be sent. The text message will be in the English language, which is shortened to EN, and it has a unique message key of Pregnancy Info Week 5. It is scheduled to be sent at an offset of 2 minutes, as you can see by the time offset field. The second message in the schedule, Week 6, is also of SMS format. It's also in the English language, and its unique key is Pregnancy Info Week 6. This message is scheduled to be sent at an offset of 4 minutes, that is, 2 minutes after the first message. As I mentioned, offset campaign schedules allow patients to have flexibility as to when they enter into the message campaign. This is valuable because certain patients may have already progressed past the need for the first several messages in a particular campaign. If this is the case, patients can specify their own start offset, allowing them to skip over the unwanted messages. A good example of this is a pregnant woman who is already beginning her 3rd trimester of pregnancy. In this case, she would likely want to skip over the messages that relate to her 1st and 2nd trimesters. The timeline on the screen starts at week 5 of pregnancy, so say she wanted to begin receiving messages on week 27, which is, I think, somewhere around the start of the 3rd trimester. This woman would want to specify an offset value of either 45 or 46 minutes in order to skip the messages planned for weeks 5 to 26. Because the week 27 message, as you can see on the screen, is scheduled to be sent at 46 minutes from the beginning of the schedule, an offset of 45 minutes would skip over the first 45 minutes of the schedule, and it would send the week 27 message after a 1-minute wait. An offset of 46 would send the week 27 message right away. If we were to have a newly pregnant woman that wanted to receive all of the messages, we could specify an offset of 0, 1, or 2, depending on really how anxious she was to begin receiving the messages. If we specified 0, she'd have to wait 2 minutes. 1, she'd wait 1 minute, and 2 minutes she wouldn't have to wait at all. If a woman only wanted to receive the last message of the campaign, which is pregnancy week 40 as is shown on the screen, she'd want to specify an offset of 71 or 72 minutes based on the same logic that I've just explained. Moving on to periodic campaign schedules. First, let me just explain why you see the word cron all over this page. This is the technical term in MoTeC for periodic schedules, which was coined because the periodic nature of each schedule is determined by a particular type of expression called a cron expression. And that's the expression you see next to the word cron at the bottom of the schedule with the zeros and the twos and the stars. If you're curious about this, you can go to the Wikipedia URL at the bottom of the screen. Otherwise, just keep thinking about them as periodic schedules. Periodic campaign schedules make sense for routine, patient-specific information. The JSON on your screen reveals that the message there will be repeated on a periodic basis, and it will be sent both in interactive voice response, which is IVR format, and in SMS format. This means that we're going to both make a phone call and send a text message. This message will be in English, and it has the unique key of cron message. That cron expression there just means that this message is going to be repeated every 2 minutes. Now that we know how the schedules are determined, let's look a bit deeper into the actual architecture of the MoTeC system at MoTeC Events. MoTeC uses an event system to communicate between the modules that comprise the MoTeC system. The event architecture helps to decouple modules that emit events from the modules that consume these events. As you can see in the bottom center of the diagram, the code for the message campaign demo resides in its own module. The message campaign module on the right also deals with its own self-contained logic. For example, it contains the code that constructs the campaign schedule from the declarative JSON that we saw before, and it raises events called send message events for each message within a schedule. When the message campaign module raises a send message event, the campaign demo module consumes it, and upon consumption of this event, the campaign demo module calls upon some other modules for their services, and eventually it initiates the actual IVR phone call or SMS text message to be sent. This is the main page of the message campaign demo that I talked about throughout the beginning of the tutorial. In this demo, I'm going to enroll a patient into both a periodic message campaign and an offset message campaign. I'm going to register that patient's phone number into MoTeC, and you're going to see that both SMS text messages and IVR phone calls are sent according to each message campaign's schedule and content. So let's first enroll into a periodic message campaign. This is the message campaign that is useful for routine patient-specific information. So first I'm going to register a new patient into the system, and this should be a 3-digit ID. Let's say 742. And I'm going to register a phone number for that patient. And if I scroll down, you'll see that my new patient has joined the list of other patients that are already in the database. So let's enroll this new patient into a periodic IVR campaign, which means that the patient is going to get a phone call every 2 minutes with the IVR content. And if we wait just a moment, we should receive a phone call.
This is a demonstration of a cron campaign, which is set to send a periodic message every 2 minutes until you unenroll from the campaign.
So that message that just played was the content of the periodic IVR campaign. So if I were to wait another 2 minutes, we would again receive a phone call with that same content. But for the purposes of the demo, I'm just going to unenroll from that campaign now. And now let's enroll into a periodic SMS campaign, which means that we're going to receive a text message with that same content. And shortly I should receive a text. So we received our SMS cron message with content that is similar to the IVR phone call that we just received. Again, if I were to wait 2 minutes, I'd get another text. But for the purposes of the demo, I'm just going to unenroll from that campaign. And now, if I were finished with patient 742 at this point, we would want to unregister that patient from the system. But since we're going to be enrolling in an offset campaign as well, I'm not going to unregister the patient quite yet. So here we are back at the main page of the demo, and this time I'm going to choose to enroll our patient into an offset message campaign. Recall that in this type of campaign, we get to specify our own offset that will determine where we enter into the campaign. So let's first enroll into an offset IVR message campaign. And for this first message, let's just specify an offset of 0 so that we get a call with the content of the first message in the campaign. And we should get a call shortly.
Some women feel they want to hide their pregnancy at the early stages, maybe because they fear the evil eye, miscarriages, the unknown, or visiting a midwife. These fears are normal.
The message we just heard was the content of the first IVR phone call in the offset message campaign that we enrolled our patient in. From here on out, we would receive a new message every 2 minutes that regarded the next week of pregnancy. So the next week would be week 6. But for the purpose of the demo, I'm going to unenroll our patient from the IVR campaign now. And let's enroll into an SMS campaign. But this time, let's enter in somewhere in the middle. So let's pretend that our patient has just begun her 3rd trimester of pregnancy, which, as I mentioned earlier, is somewhere around week 27. Recall that the pregnancy week 27 message in this particular offset campaign is sent after 46 minutes. Therefore, let's enter 46 as our offset time value. And we should receive the week 27 message pretty much immediately after we enroll. As you can see by the content in the lower right, this message is clearly meant for someone who is in the later stages of pregnancy. If we were to remain in the campaign, we would receive 12 more messages for weeks 28 to week 40. But for the purpose of the demo, let's just unenroll from the SMS campaign. And I think that by this point, patient 742 has a pretty good idea of the types of IVR phone calls and SMS messages that she can receive from Motec. So let's unregister her from the system. And you can see at the bottom of the screen that patient 742 has officially been removed from the Motec database. You've reached the end of the Motec message campaign demo tutorial. In order to achieve a better understanding of the Motec system and its use of message campaigns, I strongly encourage you to look at the written tutorial that accompanies this video, along with all of the other very useful documentation on the Motec website. Thank you.